Good morning, everyone. Here we are again. Coffee and headlines. Headlines from our city, our state, and our country, combined with comments, ideas, and questions and suggestions from you, all for one good reason: to better connect with each other and with our city as a community of English-speaking locals living here in Puerto Vallarta. Some of you are here for a short visit. Some of you are here for a longer visit. Some of us live here year-round. Regardless, we get together to hopefully find out good stuff, helpful stuff, inspiring stuff that can help us have a fun life here. It is Wednesday, May 3rd. We are getting close to that dreaded, well, not dreaded, but that date that we don't celebrate, that a lot of you think we celebrate on the 5th. We don't do Cinco de Mayo, and we'll start with our subtle campaign today. Why not? So anyhow, we have all kinds of news. Yesterday, I told you that I would show you some vintage photographs, and I totally forgot to do that. We're going to do that today. We have an update of my craving from yesterday. I did go to get some tacos de canasta in Plaza Caracol. And, depending on your criteria of good experience or bad experience, it may not have been for everyone, but I'll get into it in a second. First of all, we are going to welcome everyone that is watching us live today. If you're watching live for the first time, please feel free to let us know by writing the word new in your comment, and we'll be so very happy to give you a nice little welcome. If there's something truly important that you wish to share with everyone, adding a capital letter Q at the beginning of your comment helps a great deal in finding the comment later on, and to put it aside from all the conversations that you usually have during the broadcast, which are lovely. So let's dive in. Let me set this up and go directly into our news, which are showing up on the screen. Yesterday, I was so excited that I didn't realize that I was talking about the weather and I didn't show you the weather. But we start with Cepal, which has been working along Vienna Street, and I could attest to this yesterday as I found myself walking to Plaza Caracol. Cepal is doing some work along Vienna Street near Francisco Villa, and traffic is limited to only one lane and will remain tentatively as such until May 6th. Meanwhile, Cepal has announced on their social media, on their Facebook page, that there will be a shorter water supply today in my neighborhood, which is La Vena, but also in Versalles and Díaz Ordaz, nearby colonias, and this will go on between 9 a.m. this morning until 6 p.m. So watch your water consumption if you can during the day. If you get a little bit less water than usual, it is only temporary. I believe it was Michael Buford who commented yesterday on the fire at the vehicle pound near Boca de Tomates. This is actually a fire that broke out in a yard where a local tow truck company keeps their tow trucks along with a bunch of buildings that have been impounded, I think is the proper word. So there was this fire, and it was eventually contained, but apparently over 70 vehicles and several motorcycles were damaged as part of the fire. So as Michael quite accurately said yesterday, if your vehicle happened to be in the pound, well, you may be in for some bad news. And speaking of bad news, well, I suppose it depends on who you ask. Apparently, the beach restaurant located at Colomitos Beach that has divided opinions did actually pay for a permit to operate less than a month ago, and the permit was actually signed by the mayor of Cabo Corrientes, and it was shown in this article. But here's the detail. The restaurant is located in federal zone, and a permit from Semarnat, who oversees federal zone permits, has yet to be shown, although they said, the restaurant owners, that they do have one. When we talked about this, some of you were actually quite happy that the restaurant is there, while others were not that happy. So this has been the general consensus about this tiny restaurant located in what is known as the tiniest beach of in the state of Jalisco. Elsewhere in nature, you may have noticed that there's a fire that has been burning on the surrounding hillsides behind Puerto Vallarta. And Noticias PV reports that while the fire is not under control yet due to constant wind up on the hills, local firefighters are actually doing what they can to contain the situation and prevent further damage to nearby flora and fauna. The article shows the fire department working at it, but of course the conditions are difficult. It's difficult to get there. Hopefully they'll be able to contain it sometime soon. And once again, we have an article, we have a yin-yang situation. I like to think of them as such because on the one hand, we have an article that says, yes, hotel occupancy is still good due to local events. You know, there was that golf tournament in Vidanta, and there was a fishing tournament in town that attracted a number of visitors. But here's a duality of living in a tourism in a city that's so fully devoted to tourism, because then the other paper, Tribuna de la Bahía, shows us the disrepair going on along the Pitillal Riverside Walkway, far away from where tourists spend time. And they have images showing rusty exercise equipment and piles of garbage and graffiti. And I wonder if this is the way it goes in other tourism cities. It is somewhat unfortunate that the city spends so much money in developing all these parks and things that then they don't know how to maintain or they don't think about maintaining. Now, here's another project, government project that has caught my attention in the past few months. This is happening in Guadalajara. And this has to do with rainwater collection. The city of Guadalajara started a program called Nidos de Lluvia. Nidos de Lluvia, which literally means rainwater nests. And these are devices that have been installed in low-income locations in the city of Guadalajara, where rainwater is captured and somehow it is purified to be able to make it usable. I don't know exactly if it's fit for drinking, but it's a good thing that rainwater is being collected, because rainwater is very useful for many things. Maybe you don't have to drink it, but maybe you can use it to water your plants and other things. So this program is now expanding to other municipalities. There's an article that indicates that 4,250 systems are going to be installed in several municipalities in the state of Jalisco. We don't know exactly if it's coming near us or not, but the municipality of Zapopan is even looking into making water collection systems mandatory in any type of new construction program. And I think this is just a wonderful idea. Hopefully something like this will come to Puerto Vallarta. And oh my goodness, this headline made me laugh because it says, better late than ever. Mexico's Patria COVID vaccine is finally ready for prime time. I suppose better late than ever is a good thing. The Mexican Patria vaccine, or rather its development, was announced early on in the middle of the pandemic. And I'm sure the trials went on, and then they went on, and they continued to go on. And now the vaccine is ready. The end. I don't know what else to tell you. It's a good thing. Okay, now let us take a quick look at the, oh, better late than ever. I love it. Let's take a quick look at the weather just to see what's going on out there. And there is the weather showing up on the screen. I'm not saying those were my drones that attacked the Kremlin, but I'm not saying it either. I'm not saying it either. That's what Snarky Weather has to say. A headline did catch my attention this morning. Apparently, the Pentagon is keeping track of a huge air balloon that is flying towards Mexico. We don't know where it's coming from, and we don't know why it's headed our way. Maybe it's just the wind, but the Pentagon is keeping track of it, and so they say. So we are now enjoying 26 degrees Celsius. Humidity is low at 46%. Our temperature in Fahrenheit degrees is 79. And our weather forecast says today is going to be humid with mostly cloudy skies through the day with a high of 30 and a low of 18. Tomorrow, Thursday, we can expect mostly cloudy skies through the day with a high of 31 and a low of 19. And Friday, clear skies in the morning with partly cloudy skies in the afternoon, a high of 31 and a low of 19. What's next? Let me see. What do we have next? Yes. I have made some updates on our frequently asked questions document. You can go and read it, or if you want the cliff notes of why I made some changes and the changes that were made, feel free to write details in your comment and I'll give you the blow-by-blow. Otherwise, I don't want to bother you with housekeeping stuff unless you want to be bothered with housekeeping stuff. Also, yesterday I announced that we had some vintage photographs. I found these vintage photographs that have been circulating in social media by local photographer Arturo Pasos, and I want to show them to you. I don't know the dates on these, but let's start with this one. Check it out. This is Marina Vallarta from a plane. And let's see if we can piece it together. There is my little pointer. The Westin and the Marriott. This is where the Marriott was under construction at the time. I believe these were other hotels located next to it. This would be Paseo de la Marina. Yep. And this is where the golf, what do you call them? Golf field, golf club, golf. This is where they play golf already. And there's the lighthouse right in the middle of the old Marina Vallarta. You can see it was not even developed. There's another one here that shows a different angle. Here we can see, let's see. Well, this is Paseo de la Marina, obviously. And the big hotels were not built yet. This one, which one is that? I'm not even sure. I think that might be the Westin, or maybe not. There's the lighthouse. It was still under construction. And it's amazing. It's amazing to see. This is the golf course. Golf course. That's what I was trying to think. That's what I was trying to say earlier. And of course, Paseo de la Marina looks so pretty with all those palm trees, most of which are no longer there. Here's another one that just makes me warm and fuzzy because you are looking at the original Molino de Agua Hotel. As in, I swam in this swimming pool when I first arrived in Puerto Vallarta. This was my place of choice. I had an apartment, and you were allowed to go into this swimming pool and just swim and enjoy the water if you consume from their restaurant. There were all these beautiful trees in the property, which, needless to say, were destroyed when they built that horrendous big tower. That was the first one that was built in Colonia Emiliano Zapata, the first eyesore. But this is what Hotel Molino de Agua used to look like, right in Colonia Emiliano Zapata. And I have one more to show you. This is Plaza or Parque Hidalgo. And what's interesting about this photograph is that, as you can see, the upper half of Parque Hidalgo was a graveyard. This was a graveyard. And then, of course, this lower part, the trees grew so much that by the time I got to Puerto Vallarta, this park was actually dark and sinister at night. So it was considered very, very dangerous. And we told this story recently, but I'll repeat it again. When the park was redone so that it would become an underground parking lot, all these graveyards in the back had to be removed and taken elsewhere. And of course, now we have the parking lot and park that we are familiar with. But this was the hill behind Parque Hidalgo, where now so many condos and homes and buildings exist in Colonia Cinco de Diciembre. And that is vintage images that I wanted to share with you today. I also wanted to tell you a little bit of my underwhelming experience at the Tacos de Canasta in Plaza Caracol. You know, tacos de canasta have got to be the most basic way to eat tacos. When I go to a tacos de canasta place, I don't expect anything, because it's just a folded tortilla with some filling, and you put some salsa on top of it, and they're always served on plastic dishes that are covered with plastic bags so that nobody has to do any cleanup. They are the most basic taco experience anyone could have. And I'm happy with that, but even that made yesterday's experience a little underwhelming. I approached Chabelitacos, which is located, there are 3 accesses to the Soriana at Plaza Caracol. This is located right next to the middle access. You can see that there's some letters missing from the sign. This is supposed to say Chabelitacos. And pay attention, well, you cannot maybe see it, but there are 3 employees very, very happy watching something on a television, on a phone. They were watching videos. The place was what it usually is. And of course, the experience involves selecting these combos. You know, tacos are 17 pesos each. They are either full of chicharrón, which is pork rind, or potatoes and cheese, or shredded beef, or bean, or chicken with mole. That's all you get. So I got a combo, and you can see there's some dishes to be cleaned in the back, and the whole place looked a little shoddy. But, you know, I don't mind that usually. And then the tacos come to you, as I mentioned, in a little greasy, wonderful plate full of deliciousness. And then you take your tacos to this salsa station where you can find green salsa and red salsa and shredded cabbage and spicy stuff. And you know, that's okay by me. I don't have big expectations when I go to the Tacos de Canasta. But yesterday, man, they didn't have sliced lemons. They didn't have napkins out. And of course, I still enjoyed my tacos. They were absolutely wonderful. But I say this because if you ever go eat tacos de canasta at this location, you know, bring no expectations with you. There are other tacos de canasta places in town. There's one on Morelos Street. There is one kitty corner from the stadium in one of the back corners that are very clean, very beautiful. And their tacos de canasta are absolutely yummy. Would I stop going to the one at Soriana just because of the experience that I had yesterday? No, because they're right there. They're convenient. They taste good. And I just hope that even though it looks messy and unhealthy, they are working with clean hands and whatnot. But again, if you go to the Chabelitacos de Canasta at Soriana, bring no expectations with you, and I am sure you are going to love them. With that said, let me switch over to your comments. Yes. Let's see what's going on. Do-de-do-do-do. Lots of good mornings. I love your good mornings. Dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Many. Oh, yummy, Chris. I'm ready. I am so ready. I'll be there this afternoon. And let me tell you that one of the things that Chris and I are going to be talking about this afternoon is, as I mentioned the other day, Chris wants to offer a special promotion on the day in which I present my next music appreciation presentation. So we're going to learn about Brazilian music, and then afterwards we're going to go and maybe dance some bossa nova at the Secret Wine Bar. But this afternoon I'm having cocktails with a dear friend, so I'm looking forward to that. Let's see what else we have. Lots of hellos. Lots of hellos. Thank you, Scott. I knew the phrase was just on the tip of my tongue. Golf course. Golf backyard. Let's see. Gwen stayed there. It's a shame that it's gone. I suppose that has to do with the Molino de Agua building. Let's see what else we have. Do-de-do-do-do. It is sad that Puerto Vallarta is losing its charm of traditional buildings, now big towers, and the architecture of a big city. Well, some of that is bound to happen in any city that is growing. I find that some developers have been more mindful in the way they develop, and others not so much. JC Garvin says, horrible looking tacos. How can you screw up a taco? Well, I have news for you, JC, and these are good news for me. There's nothing wrong with tacos de canasta, at least not the ones I showed you. That's exactly what they're supposed to look like. If they look horrible to you, maybe your expectations are not aligned. But when I go and eat tacos de canasta, they look exactly like that everywhere I go. So again, nothing wrong with the tacos. Just as an FYI, if they seem horrible to you, then I'm really sorry to hear that. But that's just the way they look. The issue that I had was with the boundless lack of enthusiasm on behalf of the people that were serving them. So there you go. How can you screw up a taco? I don't know that you can, unless you put something silly inside of it. But nothing horrible about those. I will defend the tacos. Let's see what else. And the scents and smells of a big city as well. It's so funny you should say that, Muffin, because yesterday when I went to Plaza Caracol, I recorded a walking tour on the way there and one walking tour on the way back because I took alternate routes. We will be showing those walking tours on Friday and Saturday this week. But instead of walking down Vienna, I chose to take parallel streets in Versailles that I don't usually walk along on a regular basis. And two things caught my attention. I will advance this to you. Number one, yes, there are a lot of constructions going on in Versailles, but again, some developers at least are having the thoughtfulness of designing buildings that conform to the surrounding architecture. And the other thought that went through my mind is everything looks so dry and beautiful, and there's no caca water on the streets, but we know those are the streets that come the rain season become little, well, not so little ponds, rather large, smelly ponds. So hopefully part of the work that Zapal is doing right now is to prevent this from happening. Let's see what else we have. Suzanne remembers the Hotel Molino de Agua. Yes, I never stayed there because I lived here, but whenever it was the summer months, it was a great place to go and swim. You could get piña coladas and food and all these things, and it was just such a great life. Ah, the good old days. Anyhow, this brings us to the end of today's Coffee and Headlines. As always, I'm grateful for your comments, your ideas, your suggestions, and I thank you for another day. And I look forward to seeing you again maybe tomorrow, if not sometime in the near future. Between now and then, have an awesome Wednesday. Stay in touch.